So excited for fall camp starting
Yeah,
tomorrow?
really excited. I mean, it's summer went by fast. Feels like we were just in spring ball, and we're very excited. Guys have worked hard. Players have had a really, really good summer, and obviously we've had a little bit of separation from them. So it's fun for us to all get back together and put all the work that we've put in this off season and get everything gelling together.
How do you feel the group has grown since spring last time we saw you guys?
Well, we're going to find out, here these next couple weeks. Obviously, I felt like the group as a whole, improved from practice 1 to practice 15, and now, basically getting into training camp and the first couple weeks, our execution should be a reflection of the work that we've put in between spring ball and now. And I think our guys have had a really good summer. Obviously doing a lot of stuff on their own as a team and guys meeting together as groups. And the neat thing about our group is, we got a couple guys that have played a lot of football. We got a couple guys that are new to the room, and all these guys work together. The veteran guys are helping out the younger guys. So I think, to me, the uniqueness, and there's other groups, obviously, on our football team that all do the same thing. But the thing that really stands out with the guys that I'm around on a daily basis is just how much they help each other, how much they pour into each other. And I think that's a reflection of the culture that Coach Riley has built here, as far as our guys, putting the team first. So that part for me as a coach is a lot of fun, seeing the veteran guys taking the younger guys under their wing and really helping those guys out.
You talk about the veterans and bringing the younger guys under their wing. And you see how much talent you have. How do you incorporate that in and kind of balance out the playing time?
Yeah, well, that's why we practice. Obviously guys are going to be competing for snaps. And I think the biggest thing for each guy at this stage is you're competing against yourself, okay? Where were you at, last spring? Okay, where are you at right now? Where are we trying to get to? So I think it's really important for those guys to make sure that they have, in a sense, tunnel vision. And okay, how do I get better each day? And obviously, if you're doing that as a player and you're a talented player to begin with, and you're doing those things, the results, the repetitions, those things kind of take care of themselves. So I think for myself and for the players, that I'm around on a daily basis, it's more just, okay, let's focus on each day. How can we get better each day? And I think you get to that point, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself.
You get some crossover between special teams and the inside wide receiver groups. Mm-hmm. How much of that plays into the practice time and the film room, kind of getting the guys, on the same page? Yeah,
well, I think we, special teams is something that we place a pretty heavy emphasis on here. And you look at the guys that are in my room, those guys can do a lot in special teams. Obviously, some of the guys are going to be called upon to be returners, but some of those guys too, they could be the frontline guys and kickoff return. So they're all, the thing that I'll say about that group too is they're well-rounded players. They'll block you. They're not just going to be out there just running routes and catching the ball. I think our receiver group, inside and outside receivers as a whole, they all take a lot of pride in, okay, I'm going to have an edge on the perimeter too. So those kind of things carry over into special teams, and some of the things that you're asked to do in special teams from a technique standpoint carry over into some of those things that we do in the receiver room. So I think they go hand in hand.
Whose idea was it to bring Raleek Brown into the group?
Oh, I think it was a collective group, and I think for Raleek, it's obviously going to be some learning process, but he's embraced it. And, at the end of the day, football is football, and our objective is to always get the ball in our playmakers' hands, however you do it, whether you hand it to them, whether you throw it to them. So, Raleek's adjusted well.
Same with Deuce Robinson coming into the receiver group instead of tight ends. I guess, I don't know, maybe bounce back and forth, but what was the kind of thought process there?
You just look at Deuce, and he's a tall kid that's athletic, that can run, and obviously he's got a multiple skill set. So, however his role plays out, obviously time will tell, but certainly he's a kid that is going to, for us, provide some matchup difficulties, hopefully for our opponents.
There's different opportunities, right? If inside receiver, you could be a small, shifty guy or kind of a bigger guy that's more like a tight end that's kind of pushed out there. Is that I mean, how does that work as far as different matchups go, and how does, like coaching them up a little bit?
Yeah, I
differently?
mean, this offense has a lot of versatility to it, as you guys have seen. So even, some of our inside guys on certain plays could line up outside, and some of our outside guys on certain plays could line up inside. So, we're always going to have a starting point, and that's where you have the two different rooms. So guys have different starting points. But as far as what we can do with those guys, this system allows them to be pretty interchangeable. And just, again, at the end of the day, when you look at each play, it's like, how can we position our guys regardless of what room they start in? How can we position our guys and put them in a place where they can help us be most successful on that given play?
Yeah. As far as you, second year, obviously the circumstances, getting the job last year was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was.
How comfortable do you feel now that you're kind of everyone's back on the staff and you're fully part of everything?
Well, we just have a tremendous staff, and everything starts with our head coach. I think you look at, I think I commented on this in the spring, but you want your football team to be a brotherhood, but your football team is always watching the coaches. And if you observe our staff, I think there's a tremendous camaraderie between us. So for me, obviously every single day as a coach, just like a player, you're always striving to try to get better. And working with such a great group of men, not only just as great coaches, but great people, great human beings, that has made the transition, fairly comfortable. So, for me, I just try to do my job better each and every single day. And like I said, I work with Coach Simmons quite a bit. We live 5 minutes from each other. We carpool probably 95% of the time. So, he certainly means a lot to me because, he kind of took me under his wing when I got here and showed me the ropes of how we do things. Obviously my relationship with him and the fact that we work closely together, has been a huge benefit and a huge plus, and it's made it a lot of fun from that standpoint.
You taken me on any of those fishing excursions?
I haven't been on a fishing excursion yet. I don't think I've fished since I was about 19 years old, so I don't know that I would bring much value to the boat, but I haven't done the fishing, but we certainly do a lot of other things together, off the field.
Who are some of the more vocal leaders in your room?
Mario is pretty vocal. This is obviously his third year in the system. Mario's got a lot of energy. He's just got a tremendous amount of energy, and a lot of his teammates, not just the other receivers, but a lot of the other players at other positions too, feed off of his energy and his juice. And he practices really hard every day and brings it every single day. And then you got Taj. Taj is a little bit more of a quiet leader, but his attention to detail, the way that Taj approaches each meeting, the notes that he takes, I think our younger guys have learned a lot from him from that standpoint, just the way that he prepares. So we have different leadership styles in our room, but the continuity in there and the chemistry in there is a lot of fun for me to be around, because those guys all really care about each other, and those guys all help each other out. Like I said at the onset, those guys really pour into each other a lot.
How much of your coaching time goes into stressing that to the younger players? Okay, everybody's a leader. You need to, find your role, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the biggest message to the young guys is, obviously, from the time they get into this program, understanding the standards that we have here, as far as how we practice and how hard that we practice and how much effort we're going to give on every single play, whether it's a pass play, whether it's a run play, whether you're on the backside of a route, whether you're primary, regardless of where you fit into each play, understanding that the effort and the detail that goes into each of those scenarios and how important that is. So, and I think more than anything right now, it's just daily attitude and improvement. What kind of attitude are you bringing in every day, and what steps are we taking to make sure that we improve every single day? Because you don't get a practice back. You only get a certain number of them. When you look at paper, it seems like there's a lot, okay, but they go fast. And we want to make sure we don't waste any days.
How well do you think you've developed as far as learning the playbook and the system and everything for year 2 for you?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, certainly from this point last year. Last year was my first year in the system with Coach Riley. So certainly feel miles ahead from where I started to where I am now. And obviously, my ultimate goal is to bring value and assist him in all the best ways that I possibly can. And certainly, like a player, we ask our players to improve and get better and be focused on getting better every day. It's the same thing as a coach. Like, at no point as a coach can you ever feel like you woke up and you got it all figured out. And I think that's one thing that this system and the way that we do things, I think there's a reason it's been successful, because we never just rest on anything. We're always searching for ways to do things better. Even if it's something that we've done well, okay, it's worked, it's been good. What can we do to even make it better? And that's the fun thing, working with Coach Riley is every day it's like, all right, let's just not look at the plays we're running, but how can we make them better? And so that part's been a lot of fun for me, learning the system and then just evolving with it.
How important is it to have veteran players? You talk like Mario being third year in the system, but a lot of the guys that were here last year. Then when new guys come in, Zachariah Branch, you can kind of work with them.
Yeah.
It's not just last year; everyone was new for everybody pretty much. So now it's like you have actually players that can kind of help bring the young guys along.
100%, and especially when you're not, you only have a certain number of hours that you're allowed to be with them. Obviously, the fun part of training camp is once you get into the training camp phase, you get extended amount of times. It's basically wall-to-wall ball for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that part's fun because there's not as many restrictions on time. But obviously, when you get into the different phases of time where you do have restrictions as far as how much time you can be with them, it makes you feel good as a coach knowing you have some veteran guys, you have some guys that have been in different situations or scenarios where they can pass some of that knowledge off to the younger guys.
The outside receivers, you talk about working with Dennis Simmons there. Is it kind of a blurred line? Are you guys in the same meetings, or is it separate, or some of it's together?
Well, the beauty of it is we do certainly have times where we're together collectively, but we also have a chance to really branch off.
Okay.
And what that just allows you to do is, you get more time to focus on the individual player.
Yeah.
So if we decide to have separate meetings, you're going to have 7 or 8 guys in that meeting rather than 16. Yeah. So you get a chance to, if you got 4 receivers out there at a time, certain plays or certain personnel groups, those guys are getting more focused attention in meetings. So for me, this is, the first time I've been a part of a structure where you have an inside and outside receiver coach, and it certainly can be very, very beneficial for those guys to make sure that nothing gets missed, whether it's an alignment, an assignment, a technique, a route adjustment, a blocking assignment. So I think there's a lot of really good advantages for our players to have another voice and have 2 sets of eyes.
Yeah. Are there guys that kind of go back and forth, that sometimes they're inside, sometimes they're outside? Or
yeah, certainly. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, we want to get our most productive guys on the field. Like I said at the beginning, our guys kind of have starting points, whether they start in the inside or outside room. But ultimately, our goal is to get the best guys on the field, and I think both of our rooms have a lot of depth. To where. If a certain guy gets banged up here or there, we have guys in our given rooms that can step up and take care of business and do the job.
Did you have any specific goals for your group in the off-season workouts, like adding strength or speed or weight or anything like that?
Yeah, not to get too specific, but there's always going to be, we're going to have meetings with our players postseason, and then you're going to have meetings with your players post-spring ball. And always at those meetings, you're going to have a list of things of, hey, you did these things really, really well. These are the things that we can definitely improve upon. And then we have such a great strength staff here. And the beauty of how we do things here, the communication between us and our folks in the weight room or nutrition, we spend a lot of time, talking about players from that standpoint too. All right, here's their goal weight. Here's where they're at now. Here's what the goal is. There might be a guy that, hey, let's try to get him up 3 or 4 pounds, or hey, let's do a really good job of keeping this guy right here at this weight. This weight seems to really work for him. Or hey, maybe this guy's body fat percentage is a little bit higher than we want. Let's try to trim this down. So, there's always going to be goals and objectives that we're always going to try to reach and try to get to. whether it's a performance-related deal or something that is in relation to their strength or nutrition or conditioning.
When Raleek moved out to receiver, what did you see in terms of just natural ability, and then also the stuff that it's like we got to kind of fine-tune?
Well, I mean, obviously, once the ball gets in your hands, whether the ball is handed to you or thrown to you, we have a lot of guys on this roster that do a lot of neat things with the ball in their hands. So, really, just learning some of the specific details of how to run a certain route, and obviously just learning some of the basic alignments and assignments. But once the ball gets in your hands, obviously your most important thing to do is protect it and advance it. So it's always a work in progress for every player to make sure that we coach them up and we do a great job of protecting the football. And then as far as advancing it, we're always going to have a couple things we teach from an initial standpoint. And then it's some of those guys are pretty gifted and have some God-given ability to do some fun things with the ball in their hands. So he's one of those guys.
This wide receiver group seems like it has kind of some of everything: speed and height and size and all of that. Where do you see, I guess, the strengths of the group, and especially how that versatility maybe?
I think aside from just some of the physical things that you see spread out across the entire group, I think one of the things that is really a strength is that these kids all really love football. So when you get a group of guys that truly love the game and love being out there, you're going to get a group of guys that are going to work hard. You're going to get a group of guys that are going to prepare hard. You're going to get a group of guys that are going to take an installation and take pride in learning it and going out there and executing each day. So aside from some of the obvious things that you guys have all seen on tape, whether it's from the college days or some of the younger guys from their high school days, I think one of the real strengths of this group is just the way that they approach everything and how important football is to them and how much they all want to learn and get better each and every day.